Welcome back to another episode of Train for Life Fitness Podcast.
I am so excited to get into today's deep dive.
Yeah, me too. Because I think we're tackling something that everyone, universally experiences. So picture this. You've meal prepped for like 3 hours on Sunday.
Oh, the classic Sunday prep.
Right. You're hitting your macros perfectly. You're weighing your proteins. You're calculating your deficits. You just feel absolutely unstoppable.
Like you're invincible.
Exactly. But then a tough day hits. It's 8 p.m. on a highly stressful Tuesday, and suddenly you are inexplicably standing in the kitchen eating peanut butter straight out of the jar.
Just completely derailing all that progress.
Yeah, and you sit there staring at the spoon, and you wonder, why did I just do that?
It's a wildly frustrating scenario. And, it happens to the most dedicated people.
Oh, absolutely.
So our mission for today's deep dive is to dissect the Let's Roar guide on emotional eating. We really want to understand the actual mechanics behind that Tuesday night peanut butter binge.
Yes, please.
We're going to prove that struggling with those intense cravings isn't about being weak.
Right.
It's absolutely not about a lack of discipline. It's entirely about decoding the hidden link between your emotions and your eating habits. And finally, stopping food from controlling your fitness progress.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the automatic assumption you make when you're holding that peanut butter jar is that it's a personal failure.
Yeah, you just tell yourself you didn't have enough willpower.
Exactly. But treating emotional eating with strict discipline is, well, it's like trying to fix a leaky pipe by just mopping the floor.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. I mean, you can mop all day, you can use the strongest discipline possible, but if you aren't addressing the source of the water, the mess is just going to keep coming back.
And what's fascinating here is that even the most hardcore fitness enthusiasts fall into this trap.
Really?
Yeah.
Even the people who basically live at the gym.
Oh, totally. Those who literally live and breathe fitness struggle with this too, because having a perfectly periodized training block doesn't just make you immune to human psychology.
That is so true.
You can have the most optimized routine and still succumb. The only difference is whether you have the tools to recognize what's happening and work through it. Because emotional eating, at its core, is a psychological response masquerading as a physical need.
So it's not real hunger.
No, not at all. The text defines it as eating to feel better, not because your physical body is hungry, but because something inside needs comfort.
And the triggers pulling that valve open are everywhere. I mean, the Let's Roar text lists the big hitters we'd expect, right?
Yeah, things like work stress or, life stress in general.
Right. Life stress, loneliness, feeling disconnected, sadness, frustration.
Yeah.
But it also highlights boredom.
Boredom is a huge one.
Yeah. And not just sitting around twiddling your thumbs, but that feeling when nothing feels exciting and your brain is just screaming for a quick dopamine hit. And surprisingly, the text lists joy.
Yeah, joy is actually one of the sneakiest triggers out there.
Right, really. Joy.
Think about it. How often do we celebrate a promotion or a personal best in the gym or just surviving a tough week?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
By treating ourselves to some cake or heavy treats. It's deeply ingrained in us to pair elevated positive emotions with highly palatable foods.
That makes total sense. I guess we put so much emotional weight on our food choices. The
Yeah.
source actually has this really striking visual of a sad woman sitting at a table.
Oh, right, that image.
Yeah, so on her left is a bowl of just plain dry oats. And on her right is this rich, decadent slice of chocolate cake.
And in a highly emotional state, you aren't calculating the glycemic index of those oats.
No, definitely not. You are looking at that cake like it's a life raft.
Exactly. But grabbing that life raft is what pulls you into the cycle. Because we misinterpret the emotional distress, we kick off a 5-stage loop that is incredibly destructive.
So it isn't just an isolated slip-up.
No, it's not just a cheat meal that you sleep off. The guide details how it mutates into a vicious cycle. And I think we should trace that cycle because the mechanics are eye-opening.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So stage 1 is feeling completely controlled by food.
Right. It's that out-of-body experience where you rationally know you shouldn't be eating the cookies, but your hand is reaching for them anyway.
And then that terrifying lack of control triggers stage 2, which is getting stuck in overwhelming guilt and shame.
Which is the worst part. The moment the brief dopamine hit fades, the psychological backlash hits you so hard.
Because you realize you broke your own rules.
Exactly. And the guilt trap is actually more insidious than just feeling bad emotionally. The text points out that guilt creates more stress. And what happens when we're stressed?
Cortisol spikes.
Right, and that pushes you into cycles of regret and restriction, which forces you right into stage 3.
Stage 3 is where you start ignoring real hunger and fullness cues.
Yeah, your body gets totally confused. You become physiologically estranged from your own stomach. You genuinely don't know if you're actually hungry or just stressed out.
And once those cues are scrambled, it leads to stage 4, right? The wild pendulum swing.
The classic swing. You bounce wildly between overeating and then overcompensating with strict dieting.
Like saying, okay, tomorrow I'm doing 0 carbs, just chicken breast and broccoli to punish myself.
Which only fuels the cycle. Severe restriction just primes the body for another binge. And the culmination of all this exhaustion is stage 5.
Losing all your motivation.
Exactly. You feel like a failure and you just want to give up on your fitness goals completely.
So the document's core truth here is that you don't need more discipline. You need a better approach.
Yes. You need to avoid the guilt trap entirely. And the guide says a huge part of that is avoiding the danger of labeling foods as good or bad.
Okay, wait. I need to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure, go for it.
Because we're talking to an audience that tracks their macros, They understand nutrition. And the guide explicitly tells us that we need to stop labeling foods as bad, that food is just food. But isn't a powdered donut fundamentally different from a piece of grilled chicken?
Oh, physically, yes.
Right. I mean, we all know a donut spikes your blood sugar completely differently than lean protein. So how can we just shrug and say food is just food when we have actual fitness goals?
That's a crucial distinction to make. And it's where a lot of advanced athletes get tripped up.
Because we can't just ignore science.
We aren't throwing nutritional science out the window. Physiologically, yes, the foods differ vastly. But the guide is clarifying that mentally, assigning moral judgment like calling a treat bad or toxic is what creates the guilt.
Ah, I see.
The metabolic response is only half the battle. The psychological response of feeling like you sinned is what derails your progress and initiates that 5-stage cycle.
So you're saying the moral judgment we attach to the food causes more long-term damage than the immediate physical properties of the food itself?
Precisely. If you eat a donut and just think, well, high carbs, high fat, I'll adjust my intake later today, you just metabolize it and move on.
Right. The physical impact is contained.
But if you eat it and think, I am bad, I failed, I ruined my diet, that moral judgment is what pushes you into emotional eating. The less you judge the choice, the more freedom and actual control you feel.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because once you remove that heavy guilt, you can actually start using the actionable steps the source provides to disrupt this habit loop.
Yes, in real time.
Right. And the most powerful intervention they suggest is called the pause.
The pause is brilliant. Before you grab the snack, you force yourself to stop and ask yourself one specific question.
What emotion am I feeling right now?
Exactly. You catch the emotion before it leads the choice. You don't even have to eliminate the emotion. You just have to name it.
But doing that in the heat of the moment has to be hard. I mean, the text mentions that your environment plays a massive role here, too.
Oh, it matters more than you think.
Yeah, the source has this really crazy image of a woman looking totally overwhelmed and swirling all around her is this literal tornado of junk food.
Like burgers and donuts just flying around.
Yeah, hot dogs, ice cream, all of it. And it shows that your environment can either push you forward or pull you back.
If you are stressed and your kitchen looks like a convenience store, that tornado is going to pull you in.
Definitely. But, you can't just pause, realize you're stressed, and then stand there staring at the fridge doing nothing. The craving doesn't just evaporate.
No, it doesn't. And that's where you need to build a personal soothe list.
I love the soothe list. It's basically a mental emergency brake. It's not about ignoring the craving. It's about buying yourself like 10 minutes to let the emotional wave crest and resetting without food.
Let's break down some of the examples the source gives for a soothe list because they are really practical.
Yeah, the first one is to go for a quick 10-minute walk.
Which is great because it literally physically removes you from the kitchen.
Right, you just get out of the environment. The second one is calling a friend to talk it out.
Because emotional eating is internalizing the problem. Speaking to someone forces you to process it outwardly.
Which is similar to the third suggestion, right?
Yeah.
Journaling your feelings.
Exactly. If nobody answers the phone, getting it out on paper slows your racing thoughts down.
The fourth one is super simple. Just drink a glass of water and wait.
It gives you that physical sensation of consuming something, but buys you time for the craving to fade.
And the last one is doing a few stretches or taking deep breaths.
Which shifts your nervous system out of panic mode.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, doing any of those things,
right,
recognizing a trigger and deploying a soothe list, it literally breaks the automatic habit loop.
Exactly. It transfers the power back to you. You're no longer on autopilot.
Having immediate tools is great, But the guide also talks about building long-term resilience.
Yes, connecting the physical act of working out to the mental act of habit control.
There's an image in the source that I really love. It's a drawing of a brain literally lifting weights.
I love that one. Building mental strength takes practice. Every single rep counts, just like building physical muscle.
And it gives 3 mental training steps to practice. The first rep is to eat slowly and really taste your food.
It forces mindfulness.
The second rep is checking in before eating. Just asking, am I physically hungry?
Recalibrating those physical signals so you know what real hunger feels like.
The third rep is how you handle a slip-up. If you do slip up, you learn from it and move forward without spiraling.
Because the spiral is where the real damage happens.
Right. So what does this all mean? The guide asks us to reflect on how our physical training supports our emotions.
Workouts aren't just for your body. They relieve daily stress, which removes a huge trigger.
They build self-confidence.
They create daily structure.
And they give you a sense of progress and purpose. I guess your physical strength in the gym can really anchor your mental choices in the kitchen.
The stronger you feel in your body, the easier it becomes to stay grounded in your choices. The Let's Roar philosophy isn't just about nutrition plans.
No, definitely not.
It's about the mental strength that keeps you consistent when life gets messy. Because life will get messy.
It always does. You'll have another stressful Tuesday.
Right. But you have tools now. And there's a final provocative thought from the source I want to leave everyone with to mull over.
Let's hear it.
The guide promises an end to starting over every Monday.
Oh, that's the dream.
Yeah. So next time you find yourself staring into the fridge after a really long day, just ask yourself, are you trying to feed your stomach or are you trying to feed a feeling?
Wow. Are you feeding your stomach or a feeling? That's powerful. Once a lion, always a lion. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, let's roar.